I average a 90 sleep score, and one of the key factors that helps me maintain high quality sleep is having the right sleep environment. Sleep is going to improve your focus, your memory, your overall energy levels, your hormone levels, your muscle growth, your fat loss. Improving and optimizing your sleep is a really high ROI activity, and improving your sleep environment is one of the highest ROI activities for improving the quality of your sleep. So there are three main factors that are going to contribute to having a great sleep environment. And the first one is having a dark room. The reason we want a dark room is because darkness is going to increase the production of melatonin. The darker our room can be, the more melatonin is produced, and melatonin is going to help us fall asleep quicker. If we can fall asleep quicker, we're going to have more sleep, we're going to improve the quality of our sleep. So it's a really good idea to have your room as dark as physically possible. Very first thing we can do to create a dark room is to get blackout curtains. Blackout curtains are a really, really important thing to do. A lot of the light that we get from the room comes from our street. We always have street lights on. There might be cars passing by. We have all of this unnecessary ambient light coming into the room. If we can get something like blackout curtains to block out the majority of that light, that's absolutely the first place to start. If you don't have blackout curtains, or it's not something that you can fit into your house, then get something like blackout window film, just some way of preventing all of this light from coming through to the house. Second thing we can do to create a dark environment is get ourselves a sleep mask. So I just have a silk sleep mask here. The sleep mask is a really, really good idea because it essentially blocks out all of the light completely. But on top of that, if you start to get used to this sleep mask, it means that everywhere you go, you basically have a dark environment. If you're on an airplane, you can put this on, have a completely dark environment. If you're in hotel rooms, completely dark environment. If you're just outside of your natural habitat, then you can get yourself a blackout room basically every single time with a sleep mask. Now, if you're not used to these, it might take a few nights for you to actually become comfortable wearing one of these, but it's definitely worthwhile to get comfortable wearing a sleep mask because it blocks out the majority of the light. All right, next thing we want to do is we want to just tape up any lights we have. So many of us have these little blue lights just flashing in our room, which is just so unnecessary to have. If they're there, for example, I have some blue lights that show up on my fan, I just tape over them. If you can find electrical tape, do that. However you have to do it, just make sure we don't have those little bits of light. We want to make the room as dark as possible. Next thing I want to do is just a few hours before bed, make sure we turn off the overhead lights. We want less light coming into our eyes before bed. This signals to us that it's time for us to go to sleep rather than it's the middle of the day. If we have big overhead lights on, all this light coming into our eyes, our body thinks it's daytime, our body isn't unwinding, isn't increasing melatonin production, it isn't getting ready to go to bed. I did a whole nother video on why we want to get less blue light before we go to bed. I'll leave a little card up here, but check that out. We want to get less light coming into our eyes before we go to bed, particularly less blue light. So now that we've turned off overhead lights, it's a good idea to actually get yourself some sort of light so you're not stumbling around in the dark. So I recommend getting a few lamps, a few small lights that you can have around the house just to provide a bit of light, but not too much. If you want to take this to the next level, you can get yourself a lamp which you can change the color of. What I do is I have a lamp that automatically turns on when the sun goes down, it automatically turns on to red. The reason for that is that the sun is the only natural light source that produces blue light. And of course, sun is only really available during the daytime. So when it gets dark, the only natural light sources that we would have got was from fire, which is a red and orange light. So I try to only get red and orange light as much as possible, at least within 2 hours of bed. So if you can get yourself a light which turns red or which changes color, it's a good idea to do that. But at the very least, reduce your overall light exposure, get yourself a lamp, just reduce overall light before bed. Real quick, if you would like to reach peak mental and physical performance, I've left no stone unturned in giving you everything you could possibly need to reach peak performance. So if that's interesting at all to you, I'll leave a link in the description below. The second factor contributing to a great quality sleep environment is reducing the amount of noise we're getting, having a quiet room. And there's two factors that's going to contribute to this. Having less general noise input, but also reducing the amount of abrupt noises. So for example, we don't want to hear cars rushing past, we don't want to hear people talking. If there is noise, we want it to be consistent and stable so it doesn't pull you out of your sleep. So the first thing for this, the most important thing, is going to be getting yourself some kind of earplugs. So I have, these are Loop Dream 2s or something. I'm not sponsored by these guys or anything, but this is pretty easy. Chuck these in your ear. Very similar to the sleep mask. We want to get used to sleeping with these, because if you can get used to sleeping with these and with a sleep mask, then it basically means that you're going to have a quiet and dark environment no matter where you are. But these, any earplugs in general, it's just going to reduce the overall noise input, which is a really good idea. The second factor is you want to reduce the overall noise, as in we want to reduce the amount of abrupt noises. So a way to do this is, for example, you could use a fan. So a fan will provide you a good amount of ambient noise. If you don't want a fan, then you can use a white noise machine, whatever you want. But just trying to get a small, stable, and consistent amount of noise just drowns out things like people talking, things like cars coming past. Just a good way to create a good environment for your noise so it's not pulling you out of sleep. The third factor contributing to a great quality sleep environment is having a cool bedroom. So we want a bedroom between 18 degrees Celsius or 65 degrees Fahrenheit. The reason being that your body naturally decreases its core body temperature when we go to bed. So we want to help facilitate that environment. This is going to increase our melatonin production, making it easy for us to fall asleep. It's a good place to be in. I'm sure you probably noticed that if you're in a really, really hot bedroom, it's actually very, very difficult to go to sleep. It's a lot easier to go to sleep if your bedroom is a little bit cooler. So there's a few things that we can do to make our bedroom as cool as possible. Of course, if you have air conditioning, set this for 18 degrees Celsius, 65 degrees Fahrenheit. That's of course going to be a very easy way to do that. If you don't have air conditioning, you can use something like a fan. A fan is a really, really good way of doing that. Next thing we could do is layered sheets. Now it's pretty damn cold in Melbourne right now, but what I do is, rather than having a big thick doona, is I just layer sheets. So I have a few different layers here, and this basically allows you to much more effectively control the temperature rather than just chucking on a massive blanket. Just have a few little layers and just add as necessary to get you in that nice, comfortable environment, because we don't want to be too hot, we don't want to overheat, but we also don't want to underheat. So that is everything that I do to create a fantastic sleep environment that helps me average over a 90 sleep score. Hopefully there's a few things that you can add to your bedroom right now that can absolutely improve the quality of your sleep, because optimizing your sleep is one of the highest ROI activities that you can do, and creating a good sleep environment is such a set and forget thing that if you can just do once and improve the quality of your sleep, it will have significant downstream effects on the quality of your life, whether that's your physical performance or that is your mental performance. So look, if you enjoyed this video, if you got some value out of it, please like and subscribe. There's probably some videos around here that you might be interested in, so I'll see you there.